The bright lights beaming from the Radio City Music Hall proscenium bathed the entire auditorium in a gilded, almost surreal glow. A hush of giddy anticipation hung over the tuxedo-clad audience as the opening strains of the evening's final presentation pumped through the sound system. Stepping out onto the legendary stage to a rousing wave of applause, Meghan Markle looked every inch the regal yet radiant Hollywood A-lister. Her shimmering sapphire Da Vinci gown cascaded over her willowy frame in elegant liquid folds, while tastefully sculpted off-the-shoulder sleeves framed her cascading chestnut locks. A very deliberate, curated vision of quintessential modern regality tailored for maximum global televised impact. What an extraordinary honor to grace this hallowed stage and join you all in celebrating the boundless vitality of the American theater, she called out in that plummy, crowd-workingly projected cadence. The beam of her megawatt grin somehow managing to encompass every enraptured well-wisher in the mezzanine. Tonight we come together unified in our love for this transformative art form and appreciation for the fearless visionaries upholding its enduring legacy. I can think of no greater embodiment of Broadway's electric, trailblazing spirit than our final award's luminous recipient. Meghan paused dramatically to allow the thunderous applause to swell around her again before slicing through it with renewed vocal intensity. An actress whose comedic gifts and endless versatility have enriched our culture while elevating the possibilities for Black women's representation. A true tour de force whose impact will doubtlessly inspire generations of future icons to follow her lead. The former Duchess turned to energetically wave towards the wings from where the night's final honoree was meant to make their entrance. For several agonizing seconds, the air thrummed with awkward silence as no one appeared to accept her introduction. Yes, please allow me to present the 2023 Tony Award for Best Leading Actress in a Musical to the one, the only, Miss Keisha Lewis, starring in A Slave Story. A smattering of confused titters washed over the audience, but still there was no appearance made. On stage, Meghan's practiced composure began almost imperceptibly unraveling. Finally, from stage left came the stomping clatter of footsteps building to an earth-shaking volume before Keisha Lewis stormed into view. The veteran Broadway diva looked every bit as glamorously over the top and fiery as her most iconic roles. But any hint of joviality or celebration was glaringly absent from her features. Instead, Lewis's lips were drawn into a vicious rictus snarl as she jabbed an accusing finger directly towards Meghan. "Oh please, you calculating little fame vampire opportunist," she bellowed with absolutely zero preamble. "Like anyone could possibly take your cheap-ass attempts at hogging the spotlight seriously after you spat all over our sacred traditions." A deafening hush descended like a choking fog over the entire theater. Meghan blanched as if struck, her perpetual pinpoint stagecraft wobbling perilously. "Keisha, what on earth are you she stammered before the juggernaut cut her off. "Save those insincere waterworks for your gullible podcast thralls, Miss Tang. We all saw how you insulted the very essence of Broadway with your whiny, privileged nonsense." As Lewis ranted and raved without any restraint, shocked titterings began rippling through the crowd as they sensed the unscripted chaos gathering like a cyclone. Meghan, for her part, appeared to be desperately calculating a way to re-seize the narrative reins. "You openly denigrated the incomparable genius, the sheer iconography of the late, great Stephen Sondheim before he was even laid to rest. Slandering his Game of Thrones dialogue and pretending to speak for an entire art form you've got the nerve to try co-opting despite your outsider opportunist credibility being microscopic." If the rage-fueled tirade wasn't enough, Lewis crowned it by whipping back her fur-trimmed shawl just long enough to very deliberately spit an arcing stream of phlegm that splashed just inches from Meghan's designer stilettos. In the utter bedlam that erupted next, nobody could make out Meghan's response or even whether she'd actually stormed off stage or not. Lewis simply leaned over to snatch the Tony Award statuette from its moorings with vicious defiance before bellowing out. "And how about this for being irreverent and problematic, you phony half-princess wannabe? The dame has spoken, stay the hell out of Broadway's house before I cut you again, bitch." Then she, too, was gone, leaving the audience to erupt into a roaring mix of thunderous applause and delighted hooting even as broadcast censors battled a lost cause against the rampant profanities. For just one night, at least, Broadway proved it was not to be out-divaed by even the most infamously petulant of entitled aristocrats.